Hello again, author friends. My name is Samuel J. White. It's Sam, but I'm known as Samuel J. White in the author world. And I've been away for a while because I haven't been able to speak properly. So these interviews were meant to be done last week, but let's be getting on with them now. And today we have a lady called Tyria Otterberg. Now, I've seen some of her videos on YouTube. I like to listen to her speak. She can go on for a very long time. So I'm just going to let her go on, and I'm going to just add some little comments in here and there and make sure people know what questions were asked and stuff like that. So here we go. This is Tyria Otterberg. So Tyria has asked a lot of the questions herself, reading them out, so I will not be needed to be there asking the questions. I will just butt in my little piece when I need to, and you need to listen to her. She's a really interesting lady with a really interesting story. So without hesitation, this is Tyria Otterberg.
I bounced around. Hey, my name is Tyria Otterberg, and I am American. I live in the Midwestern U.S. I'm originally from the Pacific Northwestern U.S. I bounced around all over the country and ended up about 8 years ago moving back to the Midwest, and I've been here ever since. I am going to be 44 in a couple of weeks at the time of this interview. And as far as my weight, okay, let's see. Let's just say that I've lost a good bit, and if there was a sudden windstorm, I wouldn't float away. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh yeah, and while I'm here, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell and comment down here. We like comments. Please comment and please like the video.
Um, so, okay, behind me, I don't know if you really can see it, but there's a cat tree. I'm in my office, and I kind of share it with a dog and a cat. And behind me, over on this side, is my living room, and of course, I share that with my fish and whatever my dog and cat decide they want to do. And I mean, technically, you could say, I suppose, that this is the dining room, but I don't use it for that ever. This is my office area. I live in a tiny little flat, so you got to do what you got to do, right?
So here, Ree was asked to explain what inspired her to write, and her answer is very deep and personal, and it's very close to home for me because these sort of things have happened to people in my family, not myself personally, not my direct family, but people close to me when they were growing up. I was not involved in it, but I've heard all about it, and I feel that this is a very deep and personal thing which I can understand what Ree was going through in some sort of way. And you must listen to this. This is very, as I say, deep and personal. And thank you very much to Ree for sharing this.
It's a good question. What made me want to write? My brother and I, we grew up in a very toxic environment. I mean, I don't have very many positive memories of childhood. A lot of my positive memories from childhood surround my mother's side of the family and a couple of relatives on my mother's ex's side of the family. And I've only ever known them as aunts and uncles and cousins, so that's what I will always call them. And my mother's side of the family, my mom's two sisters, my uncle, my grandparents, you know, they that's largely where my positive memories are. And so I'm sure you're familiar with the story Alice in Wonderland. Well, Alice, as anybody may know, and spoiler, sorry if you don't, it was a dream. Well, for me, my childhood was very much a nightmare and not a dream, much as I wish it was. And I decided that the only escape that I had was to write. And so it just kind of became my thing. I had no escape from the bullying at school because I come home and it was just ugly at home, and I had no escape from the ugliness at home at school because it was just ugly at school. So writing was just my little trapdoor into another universe, and I kind of ran with it. I have been writing since I was 5, so what's that? Almost 39 years. Actually, it'll be 39 years in November. I love it. I love it. I love it. As far as genres, I tend to lean more toward the nonfiction aspect of things. I read mostly nonfiction. I write mostly nonfiction. I mean, every once in a while I'll pick up a fiction book and be like, oh yeah, let's do this or whatever. Or I'll get an idea for a fiction story. I mean, there's several files on my hard drive. It's ridiculous. I'd have to say there's probably close to 20, 25 different starts of fiction stories, some of which were for school, that are fiction. So I kind of flip-flop between the two. Let's see, my favorite author. Oh gosh, that's a good question. Well, first and foremost, Tolkien. I'm also a big fan of C.S. Lewis. I like Julia Cameron, Neil Gaiman, Anne Rice.
So, while we're on the subject of J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, I'm more of a C.S. Lewis fan than a J.R.R. Tolkien fan. I prefer the Narnia books over Lord of the Rings, but while we're on the subject, these two authors knew each other very well, very much like some of the indie author community do, only these two were published authors. They shared ideas, as far as I believe it, and they shared ideals for their worlds, and one of the things that they both hated, something that has been on the internet, and I've been reading about it, is the fact that J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis both united in their hate over a certain popular US animator. That's right, they both united in their hatred over Walt Disney. It's just a fun fact, and it's up on the internet, and you can see the page here probably. And now we're going to go back to Ria and her interview.
Let's see. Oh gosh, there's so many. So many. I'm attempting to give Steinbeck another chance, but it's not going well. Let's see. As far as why, well, Tolkien and Lewis, obviously, because Tolkien and Lewis, I mean, what's not to like about them, right? But it's just a good escape. And Julia Cameron, her work really influenced me right at the cusp of my 40s. I had found her kind of by accident, and I was battling some serious creative laryngitis at the time. And so for my 40th birthday, I got her Artist's Way book for my birthday and decided, all right, maybe she can help in some way, and she did, and I am so grateful. So if she ever sees this, shout out. Let's see, as far as Neil Gaiman and Anne Rice, well, Neil Gaiman he's incredible. He's a true artist. He is a true master of the craft. Anne Rice as well. I've been a fan of Anne Rice for, let's see, over 20 years. I'm a big fan of hers. I love her. Let's see. Which book am I known for? Oh dear. I've only got 2 out, and I think honestly I've sold more of my second book, my nonfiction book, because that was about the cat rescue, and it was, I had a lot of fun writing that book. I put a lot into it. My mentor, this really means a lot to me. My mentor had bought a copy, and he asked me to autograph it for him. So that was pretty cool experience, knowing that, not only was this person interested in reading what I had to write, but he wanted me to personalize it for him. That was pretty cool. So yeah, honestly, I think that's probably my favorite book that I wrote was my second book, because it was, like I said, I put a lot of work into that book, and a lot of revisiting the memories that I had that inspired that story. It was a really powerful experience. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. Let's see. Favorite things to eat and drink while writing? Honestly, I don't even know. I've never really given it much thought. I like to drink hot chocolate. Like, I love hot chocolate. In fact, I have some right here. See? Just waiting for it to cool so I can drink it. And let's see, as far as snacks, pretzels. Definitely pretzels. I always love pretzels. No, I don't get recognized on the street by my readers. Considering that most of my readers are people that already know me personally anyway, it technically doesn't count, I suppose. So there you are.
So I wouldn't worry about not being recognised on the streets. Even the most famous authors are probably not recognised on the streets. Hopefully this video and this interview, if the channel kicks off, will hopefully get you some more recognition, the same as me. I'm only known at the moment as being that bloke with the scraggy hair. And most of my readers are, I wouldn't say fans yet. They live in other countries. This is due to the brilliance of the internet, and I'm sure that will happen for you as well. I obviously don't have very many, so we're all in the same boat here, trying to get recognition, and hopefully this interview will get you some recognition, as it will hopefully me at some point. But let's continue with the interview.
I have found the world of indie authors to be a lot more cutthroat than I expected. It's crazy. There was this girl not too long after I started. Her name was, oh my goodness, I can't even think of her name now. But there was this whole thing about some series that she had written, and she wanted to copyright a word, the Cocky Brothers. She wanted to copyright the word cocky. And I remember reading just, thing after thing after thing after thing on Facebook, and videos about it, and like all this stuff, and it's like, wow.
So just for a quick example about what Ree is talking about here, I've stolen a clip of a video by an author called Susan Tisdale. I hope she doesn't mind that I've stolen it, just to use it as an example here. She says some pretty important stuff, and this is what Ree is talking.
Hello, everybody. Most of you know me. You know me as Susan Tisdale. This live video is directed totally to Felina Hopkins. Felina, I am not hiding behind an avatar. I'm not hiding behind a pen name. My name, again, is Susan Tisdale, and I'd like to talk to you about the lawsuit that you have filed recently, or plan on filing, against Tara Crescent and Jennifer Watson and Kevin Newper. You have gone too far, dear. Nobody owns the word cocky. Nobody owns any word. You are not Pepsi. You are not Coca-Cola. You are not Advil. You are not Kleenex. You are an author.
Okay, so this is a thing, huh? And just recently there was the Terrible Author Awards or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like, I distinctly recall graduating high school a long time ago, and apparently a lot of these people didn't, or if they did, they certainly didn't leave high school where it belongs, back in high school. It's kind of sad, really. Current work in progress is my autobiography about how I found God. I know it's kind of the least popular genre in the world, writing about religion, but that's okay. I became a writer because I don't care, and I'm going to continue not caring. So, I figure it'll touch somebody, and that's why I write, so it's basically how I got to where I'm at now, and part of it, it's slow going because there's a couple of parts of it that are super hard to write about, and I'm taking my time. Indie author books I plan on reading and buying next. Oh goodness, let's see. Well, Sam, of course, I told you at the start of this interview I haven't had a chance to read your book yet, and that's next on my list. I'm reading another one right now. It's Steinbeck. I don't remember who recommended it to me, but I told them I would at least give it a chance. So I'm going to try and get through that one. And if it bores me to tears, well, I'll pick your book up and just that much sooner.
So thank you to Ree for offering to read my book. I hope you really enjoy it. One of the things that I would like to point out, though, is that Ree is a devout Christian. There is also a devout Christian character in my book, Katsina. She's the lead female character. And at some point in the book, she has a crisis of faith. This is not the main story of the book, but I would like to add it in there. She has a bit of a crisis of faith, and she says a few naughty things about God, and I just want to put it out there. The things she says about God are not my opinion, and she eventually comes around to the fact that God didn't mean to do those things, and that God loves everyone, and including her especially, and that it's all good in the end, basically. Hope you don't shoot me.
As far as other indie authors I would like to buy and check out, like Willow Rose for sure. I have a lot of her books. I haven't had a chance to read them yet. There's several. One lady I know is a friend of mine. I sadly cannot remember her pen name, but I know her first name, and I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal that, so I won't mention her name, huh? But she's a really, really brilliant author, and I've read clips of some of her stuff that she's written, and she's really, really fascinating. I'd also like to read Jamie Winters. I'd like to get a hold of Jamie Winters' books, and yeah, I mean, there's so many out there. Oh my goodness. As far as gratitude and acknowledgments, of course, oh my gosh, I have a litany of people. Of course, I thank God, like, He gave me my ferocious attention to detail, and so of course, I gotta thank Him, because that's my beloved. Outside of Him, every English teacher I've ever had in my life, especially Mr. Vodder, my freshman English teacher, and Mrs. Darter, my junior and senior year English teacher. Those two teachers especially were amazing. Also my my brother, who has been tremendously encouraging and has been very supportive when I've needed to have discussions about some things that we've dealt with growing up, and my mentor, a very, very dear friend of mine who is a deacon, a transitional deacon. I'm very proud of, and I'm honored to know, and all of my creative writing buddies. So yeah, I mean, there's just, like I said, there's a litany of people. My only question I can think of to ask viewers is, if you would read my books. I know that seems kind of feeble and just kind of like, self-promoting, and I don't mean it to be, but, I mean, honestly, though, I would like to know what sort of thing they would suggest that I write next. Like, I draw the line at chick stuff. I don't write romance and all that. It's just not my thing. But I'm just curious, like, just to help me, expand my little creative horizons a little bit. be curious to see what anybody else would want me to write. But anyway, yeah, so thanks so much and for having this conversation with me. It's been amazing. And my website, I do have one. It's in desperate need of a facelift. It's thatcatholicgal.xyz. And I can be found on Amazon under T Rea Okerberg, Okerberg. And I can also be found on Goodreads under the same name. Yeah, there's really not, yeah. As far as my YouTube link, I'm thinking about getting some storytime videos done, and so I can be found under Tolkien.nerd91. I guess that's how that works. I'm not sure. But yeah, so thanks. Bye.
So thank you for watching, and thank you to Ree for that amazing interview. Thank you again if you're still here. That's been a long interview. So please remember to subscribe down there and comment and ring the bell and all that stuff. If you want to hear more from other indie authors who I've interviewed, if you are an indie author who I'm planning to interview, you should have done that already. And I'm going to leave you with a trailer for my latest book, which is coming out on Halloween. It's a old-fashioned ghost story set in the 1940s in rural England. It's called Maria's Photograph.